Let's now turn our attention to the MSME sector. It's a very crucial sector, and we have with us CEO and Director of MFIN, Dr. Alok Mishra. Dr. Mishra, thank you very much for your time. Your budget expectations, particularly for this crucial sector.
Thank you, Sanket, for having me here. I think ex-Governor Subbarao-ji was already talking about that the focus of the budget should be on jobs. And I think the MSME sector is one which is most job intensive, and it creates local jobs, checks migration to urban cities. And as a corollary to that, I would suggest that the focus, while jobs remaining the overarching theme, should shift to MSMEs. And in that context, I would like to talk to you about the three requests which we have made to the government, and we hope they are considered to accelerate the growth of MSME sector and the flow of credit to the sector. The first is that in the pandemic years, the government had announced a credit guarantee scheme. And that guarantee scheme was on loans given by banks to NBFCs. And the government was giving a certain portion of it as a guarantee cover. And not a single paisa has gone bad. But that guarantee cover of 7,500 crores enabled credit outreach of microfinance to 20 lakh borrowers at the field level. So we have said that though we are saying that we are seeing some green shoots, but still the problem is still there. So that credit guarantee scheme should be continued. Second, what we have requested for is that as the bank funding to the NBFCs, and NBFCs are the critical component of financing of the micro units in the MSME space. And as you know, that around 90 to 94% of the MSME space is micro. And the sector which we deal with is not only micro, it is a little below that is nano enterprises. For that, the NBFCs depend upon bank funding and other sources of borrowing. And that fluctuates with the liquidity cycle. It goes along with the economic periods of economic scenario. We have requested that a dedicated refinance facility be created at SIDBI, either through the priority sector shortfall route or by strengthening the balance sheet contribution by the government to SIDBI so that it can create a larger corpus out of market borrowing, and we have a stable source of funding. And the third is the problem of equity, because debt and equity go together. And we have suggested that to ensure that the equity contributions in the MSME space and the funders being NBFCs, NBFC MFIs, their equity base would also be strengthened by domestic capital. And that domestic capital should be patient and long-term in nature. And for that, the India Microfinance Equity Fund, which is with SIDBI, that should be strengthened in terms of corpus, and it should also see accelerated disbursement. So these are the three primary things which we have said this will strengthen. And let me add that today, when I speak to you, the total microfinance sector which I represent, which consists of NBFC MFIs, NBFCs, banks, and small finance banks, has an outreach to 6 crore low-income women across 632 districts of India. And when we are talking about jobs, the sector, we had recently, last year we launched that report, it was done by NCAR. It showed that the sector contributes around 2.2% to the national GDP, and every year it sustains and creates jobs of around 150 lakhs.
Okay.
So it is a bigger contributor.
Yeah, so Dr. Mishra, it's important that you mention these figures because you see, it's very clear that this is the backbone, the sector is the backbone as far as a country's job creation and boosting of manufacturing sector is concerned. But how would you respond to the steps that have been taken so far? Do you think that they were satisfactory? I mean, a huge amount was announced in terms of a package for the sector. But many in the sector then, I won't say complained, but raised concern that the manner in which the government intended for this package to roll out did not really happen.
Yeah. So Sanket, I will talk about the sector which I represent, which is micro and nano enterprises, and my members. So I think we have to see the policy response during COVID times. If I rightly get you are referring to the COVID times. The package, I would see it as a combination of the fiscal measures taken by the government and the measures taken by Reserve Bank of India. So our two concerns during that time was the guarantee scheme and continuous flow of liquidity. So Reserve Bank injected some liquidity through funding to both NABARD and SIDBI, and which flew into the sector, and the government also did it. But we can always say that because the sector is so huge, because total in India, these enterprises are around 6.5 crores, out of which 90 to 95% are micro and nano. So not all could be covered, but yes, something was done, more can be done. And it is very vital that more integral recognition of this sector is done, because while we can talk about growth, we can talk about a 5 trillion economy, all this is good. But I believe that if growth has to be equitable, if growth has to be inclusive, the focus has to shift to much more bigger way to micro enterprises.
Okay. Dr. Mishra, many thanks for joining us. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
inputs.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you.